What's good, YouTube? You know what time it is? Time for another Magic Man review. Alright? This book is a pretty neat little book. I enjoyed it. Thank you for contributing to this channel. You know who you are. This book was brought to you by one of our main contributors to the channel. One of the only contributors to this channel so far. But hey, growing steadily, and one of the reasons I did this channel is, one, it gives me an excuse to read books, improving my mind, my knowledge, picking some knowledge from the peeps out there on YouTube, out there on the internet. Anyway, this book, That's Not in My American History Book, by Thomas Ayres. If I pronounced your name wrong, sir, forgive me. Alright. This book was really good at a lot of myth busting. A lot of the stuff we get taught, or used to get taught in schools with a lot about American history, and a lot of it wasn't true. It's propaganda. Who knew, right? So one of the things that got to me in this book is, again, when you read a lot of books these days, you can tell immediately when you start reading it who wrote the book by the way they frame things. And this book was written by a white liberal, okay, and you can hear it in their voice. Usually it's all, did you know that women did this? Did you know that black people black people did that? Did you know Indians were, peaceful, smoking the peace pipe and communing with nature before the evil white Europeans came and, stole their land and all this stuff like that and gave them diseases? Did you know all this stuff? No, I didn't know. I didn't know that, Mr. White Liberal. Thank you very much for informing me. But I think it's like a psychological thing. It's like a thing called self-flagellation. Okay, back in the day, what people used to do, I think they still do it. I looked it up just so I could pronounce the name right, the word right. What they would do, they would take these whips, and they would just whip themselves in the back. It's called self-flagellation, and they would beat the crap out of it, at themselves, right? And it was to humble themselves, to, before God. Oh God, you see how spiritual I am, just whipping myself. And that's the same thing that these nut jobs are doing today. Oh, I'm so evil because I'm white. I was born with blonde hair and blue eyes. I'm the evil man. Look how pious I am. And I don't know what it is. I wish y'all would, I wish they would get over it. And there's a little bit in this book. Okay. Specifically, he was writing about, did you know that there was an Indian city before the Europeans came here that was bigger than New York? Not right now, but it was a big city. And he was writing what they were doing in this city that they discovered. Okay. First of all, he admits that the city's still still being investigated. They're still digging it up, right? So anyways, he's telling us about what they did back in the day, how spiritual they were, how peaceful they were. They didn't have weapons, which was utterly garbage. If you know anything about the Indian nations, Indian confederacies, they were some violent people, okay? Very violent. You couldn't survive in this. Most people, humans, are violent. You can't survive in this world without being violent. Either other humans or wild animals are going to come and they're going to try to eat you. That's the way it is. Alright? But a lot of people have this image in their head like, oh, the Indians were so peaceful, and they were out there communing with Bambi, and, hugging trees, all kinds of stuff, rainbows and unicorn farms. It's totally divorced from reality. There's some of this in there. Alright, but that's just a little part of the book. If you didn't know about some of this stuff, like black people out in the wild, wild west. You know, I knew that stuff already. So I mean, that's good to know if you don't know stuff. If you've just been given the standard American uneducation, you're not gonna know any of it. Any of it. So yeah, okay. Oh yeah, women in combat. Did you know women were in combat? I'm like, okay, bro. I mean, all right, just get over it, bro. Stop hammering this stuff down people's throats. But this book has a lot of redeeming factors, and what I liked about it is, and it really kind of uplifted me, really, because I pay attention to politics a little bit, but not really. It's just like a reality TV show. It's not real. It's corrupt as hell. These people are so twisted they can sleep in a tube. That's how messed up they are, right? But that's nothing new. You go back. I've heard some of this stuff before, but this book goes in really good detail about somehow messed up our political system, how corrupt it's been since forever, since the founding of the republic. Okay, we're not a democracy; it's a republic. Okay, since the founding of the American Republic. Okay, there's no battle hymn of the democracy; it's the battle hymn of the republic. Okay. Anyway, since the republic has been founded, these people have been corrupt as hell. I mean, just horrible, and beating the crap out of each other. I wish we had some of that. I would actually endorse that. If you've ever seen some of like the politics overseas, like in South Korea, where they just the diet or wherever the hell they call their Congress, they just get up and start beating the crap out of each other. I would love to see that. I would love to see our congressmen and congresswomen and transgender whatever beating the crap out of each other on Capitol Hill. And they used to do that too. I mean, it wasn't like the ones you see in South Korea, but they were like beating each other with canes. But they were killing each other too. They were challenging each other to duels. That would be great. I would love to see, the presidential race decided by dueling with, pistols or swords, or whatever, or fist fights. That'd be great. I'd love that. Would you? But really good stuff, and a lot of stuff like some of the stuff that you never even heard about some of these people, because they're not really. It doesn't tell you a lot of stuff in the history book. There's a very important officer in here, wild guy, and Benedict Arnold too. I knew a little bit of this. I knew he was a really good general in the Revolutionary War before he, turned over to the British. And I didn't know he probably saved the American Revolution before they gave all the credit to somebody else for the things that he did. And but some of this, it's like Benedict Arnold wasn't the only person who switched sides. I mean, there was a lot of that going on. You get a lot of that in warfare. You'll have, hey, I'm with this side today. Tomorrow, this side's offering me better pay, better clothing, better food, better treatment, better reward. I'm going to go with these guys. And people don't realize about the American Revolution. It was more like a civil war. Because on both sides of the American Revolution, you had loyalists and people who wanted to secede from Great Britain and be their own country. Okay, so they were fighting each other. They were fighting the British. You had British, I didn't know the Americans had Hessians that fought under the American side. I always thought it was with the British. Nope, I found out something new. Right? Really good book. Especially when you get to the politics. If you really want to know, I'm going to find a book about this. One of the books I did read that kind of hinted on it was, it's called The Power Broker, about Robert Moses and how he built up New York City, the public park system. But they dealt a little bit with the corruption. Man, that's a great book. But really, like Tammany Hall back in the day, that was a corrupt organization, right? I mean, if you've watched the movie The Gangs of New York, yeah, it's Hollywood, but it kind of shows how corrupt Tammany Hall really was up in New York City. People think, oh, well, it's never been this bad. Oh, no, it's been worse. A lot worse, really. And the Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West was not that wild. And actually, he gives the numbers. We're actually shooting more people in the United States in, like, western cities like Chicago, St. Louis. More people are dying now than ever did back then. We're living in the wild, wild west right now, as it relates to violence. Back then, it wasn't as bad as people think. It was mostly to sell novels and little books and pamphlets back east. The authors, they needed to make a living, so they would find somebody that they thought was, had a nice little ring to it, like the outlaw lady, her outlaw gang, and they would write it up, and she was just a prostitute. She robbed a couple people, got thrown in jail, died of syphilis. Nothing special, but a really good book. I recommend it. You do have to get over the white liberalism, the bleeding heart, unicorn farts, rainbows. You got to get over that sometimes. You got to take the good with the bad, because I don't know what the deal is. I don't care if you want to self-flagellate. That's your business, dude. But I don't want to read it. But I enjoyed the book. It's a good book. Some of the stuff I knew, but there was a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know. Or little twists and turns that I did not know. But it was a good book. That's not in my American history book by Thomas Ayres. All right, till next time, latest.